Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel for a brand new Plum Fix Me Up, and this one takes place in the beautiful EA world of Riverview, and I'm doing this for my very good friend Vicsims, who is an incredible builder. Now, if you guys don't know who Vicsims is, why don't you scuttle on over to Twitter, check him out, drop him a follow, because he has just completed something that I will never be able to achieve in my lifetime. He is shortly going to be releasing a world save file called Riverview Reimagined, where he's completely overhauled the EA world and made it his own. And he has put so much love, care, and dedication into this world, and I seriously cannot wait to check it out when he releases it to the public. So one day, I was on Twitter just scrolling through as you do, and I happened upon one of Vic's posts, which was a build that he was doing for this save file. I left a comment, I was slightly fangirling, and I said I would love to decorate one of your builds. I didn't think anything of it, I just carried on scrolling, but a short time later I received a message from Vic saying that he had a home in mind in Riverview that he would like me to renovate for his own personal save file of Riverview Reimagined, and that's why we're here today. But before we talk about the house and the household that I'm going to be taking a look at today, I just want to stop and plug all of Vic's socials. Go and check him out on Tumblr and Twitter, because you won't be disappointed. Like I said, an incredible builder, and I could never. So this is the message that Vic sent me. He said, "So I have a house in mind. As you may have seen, I'm completely rebuilding populating Riverview. My favorite family that I've made for it is two young dads, Julian Alvarado and Tommy Kim, and their adopted son, a toddler Theo. They also have an adorable husky named Kenji. Julian is a singer and quite well known around town, where Tommy also shines in the musical world, but as a self-employed band musician. Needless to say, they are quite well off, meaning I won't request sticking to a budget," which was music to my ears because, as you all know, I have issues with sticking to budgets. He continued, "I built their house about a year ago, and it's not overly huge at all. I'm only using expansion content for this world, and I'm trying to stick to not adding too much clutter, but I'm going to be playing them in my own save once it's done, and I would love a more personalized version, including stuff packs and store content. If you are up for it, which again would be an incredibly amazing honor and quite frankly a privilege." Let me just tell you guys, the pleasure was all mine. I had so much fun doing this. I put so much detail into this home, so much so that I've had to split this video into two parts. So the first part is going to be the exterior and laying out of the interior, and then the second part is going to be all of the recoloring. So without further ado, let's check out the house. Kenji, Tommy, Julian, and Theo are ready to move into their home, and they have an abundance of money, which was fantastic because when I was finished with this renovation, it came to just under 600,000 simoleons. Let that sink in for a second. This is a 40 by 40 lot, and I don't think I have ever worked on a project that was that expensive. It was like they were flashing the cash and bling bling was happening all over the place. But let's check out the house pre me getting my hands on it. So this is ranch dressing. It's 2 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. It sits at 365 River Blossom Hills Drive. And you can see that furnished it is 227,986,000 simoleons. And this is the backstory that Vic gave to the house. It says, "Built on a prime property overlooking the river and town, this large, traditional yet modern ranch-style home might only have 2 bedrooms, but there's ample space for expansion, featuring a large open-plan living area leading into the entrance dining room with an atrium leading to the upper level. It truly creates a fantastic flow throughout the home. The backyard features a large curved pool, hot tub pagoda, and spacious lawn with a shaded fire pit." So here are the boys outside the pre-renovated home. This is the version of ranch dressing that will come with Riverview Reimagined. And Vic was kind enough to provide me with their backstory. So this is what he wrote. "Julian and Tommy met at college one night when Julian was invited to perform live at a campus event. It just so happened that Tommy was the guitar player at the event. When their gazes met, it was love at first sight. After they graduated, they moved into a small apartment together, and besides getting the occasional gig, Tommy worked at the local bistro, whereas Julian continued singing full-time, slowly gaining fame. They were able to buy a small but comfortable suburban home, both knowing it would be temporary as things truly started to look up for them in almost every situation. Not long after, their blood, sweat, and tears were rewarded. Julian was offered a major record deal and began booking massive gigs, and Tommy was able to quit his job at the bistro to pursue music full-time. Finally, their bank accounts were stable and increasing steadily, allowing them to comfortably take the next step in their relationship. Get married, go on a dream honeymoon, and settle down somewhere for good where they could start a little family together. They looked at many houses, but this relatively modern ranch house stood out to them. It was absolutely perfect. More good news arrived. They were approved to adopt Theo, the cutest little boy. For Tommy, the only thing left to do was to get a family dog. Julian wasn't opposed either. They adopted Kenji, a loyal, friendly husky who immediately crawled into their hearts. Julian Alvarado and Tommy Kim are prime examples of how hard work, determination, and consistency can lead to success. Vic also let me know that Julian is of Latin American descent and Tommy is of Korean descent, so I tried my best to sprinkle a little bit of their heritages throughout the renovated home. Vic also did me a solid and he created some graphics with Julian, Kenji, Theo, and Tommy's favorites and their traits. So while the boys are relaxing in the backyard, here is a view of the front of the home. And Vic wanted a modern rustic feel to it, not too farmhousey, so I went with a lot of modern with some touches of rustic. Now, I think the next thing to do before we jump into the renovation is to check out the floor plans. This is the overview of the main level of the home, and you can see what each room functions as. Now, one of my first questions to Vic was, may I please get rid of the laundry room? Because in a house this size, picking up laundry is going to be a pain in the bum. I mean, I don't like to do it in real life, so why do I want to do it in The Sims? And Vic kind of agreed with me. So the laundry room was nixed with Vic's blessing. And then another question that I had was about the music room, which is over to the right of the screen. So Jay plays the piano, he is also a singer, and Tommy plays the guitar. And I thought it would be better if they had separate music spaces, and Vic was totally on board with that, so I made sure to fit that into the newly renovated home. So if we mosey on upstairs, one of the first things that Vic said about the upstairs area was that there were two relatively small bedrooms, but there was heaps of space for expansion. So I expanded on the two bedrooms that were up here. I also added a third. Another thing that Vic requested was that there was a bedroom for guests, so I made sure to fit that in. And I kept everything that is in the home. They're just in different areas. So I think I've given you a pretty good overview, so there is just one more thing to do. So we're now going to say goodbye to the boys as they have one last little lounge around their old pool. And I made up my own little backstory for them as I was renovating their home. My idea was that they got rid of all their furniture, they donated everything, they hired an interior designer and an architect to take ranch dressing to the ranch. So without further ado, let's get started. Good golly, Miss Molly, what an intro that was, but we have finally made it to the renovation, and you guys are with me for about 36 more minutes, so I hope you guys are cozy. I hope you've got all the snacks in the world, your teas, your coffees, your water, your alcoholic beverage, whatever is your pleasure. I hope you guys are comfy cozy because you're with me for the long haul. Now, as you can see, I just pulled the house back towards the backyard a couple of tiles, and that's because I wanted a little more space in the front yard. So it did decrease the size of the backyard, but not by much. And shortly I am going to be adding the first of many new rooms to this home, just to create a better flow and to kind of go with what I had in mind with what rustic modern meant to me. So here I am creating a 2-car garage, and the old garage is going to function as something everything else, and we will get to that when we get to that. I do have a couple surprises for Vic in this video, so that's the fun thing about Plum Fix Me Ups, is because nobody knows how it's going to turn out, and it is really a surprise for the person whose home this is. And so I cannot wait to get to those surprises, and yeah, it's just going to be really good. So here I am expanding the upstairs. On the left here, as we're looking at it, that's going to be Tommy and Julian's main suite. I did make it a lot larger than it was because I had the space to do it. Because the downstairs was so massive, I was able to expand the upstairs and not change the footprint too much. I mean, the original footprint is there, but I've just added on to it and done a couple of little tricks and things like that. And there are some surprises in store, which I cannot wait to get to those. So it's going to be fun. This is going to be great. I had the best time doing this Plum Fix Me Up because I've been such a fan of Vic. Being able to build something for him, decorate something for him, was just an absolute pleasure, and I was able to detail it as much as I detail any of my other homes that I put out on my channel, because that's what Vic wanted for his personal save file. A save file with the personalities of Tommy and Julian and Theo incorporated into one of his favorite homes. So that is what I did, and I tried to incorporate their favorite colors, which, if you don't recall, Jay's favorite color is orange, Tommy's favorite color is blue, and Theo's favorite color is red. So there are pops of that throughout the entirety of the home. I will say that this house is pretty darn dark. I'm still going through that dark phase. I love dark interiors, and I think it just really works for the boys. So I'm giddy. I'm really giddy. So how are you guys? Tell me about you. What has been going on? This is your plumdot monthly check-in. What is new in your world? What is new in your Sims games? Tell me everything that is happening. In my world, I have just been working. I went to bingo on Sunday just gone, and I've just been going to the gym. I'm probably going to go to the gym in about 2 hours. And yeah, that is what is going on with me. I'm having a great time. Things are great. There's nothing untoward to report. I've just been simming, gymming, working, bingoing. There it is. That's my life. You've been updated. So we are back in the front of the house, and I am creating a little bit of a trellis with a twist. So I'm shortly going to be using constrained floor elevation false. Here I go. And we're just going to give a little flair to the trellis and just dip those wooden parts down just slightly, just for something a bit funky, a little bit different. And that's just going to be a front porch where there's going to be areas for seating. I think I put a rocking horse out there and some hanging chairs, and I just thought it was a cute little moment out front in the backyard, or sorry, out front in the front yard. And I also end up putting a dog house out in the front. Now, I don't know if any of you guys are on the Grant train, but I don't know if you remember, this was years ago on Twitter. Somebody was asking why there were no dog houses in Sims 4, and Grant basically said it was a weird relic from the past and that he couldn't stand the thought of his own dogs in real life not being on the sofa next to him. And that made me think, but what if your dogs wanted to go have a private moment and woohoo a little? Now in The Sims 3, dogs use dog houses to procreate, to have some puppies. So I thought if maybe one day Kenji wanted to supply Tommy and Julian with some puppers, he's going to need a dog house to get down with the get down. So I did place a dog house in the front yard under one of the trees for a little bit of privacy. So yeah, I thought it was a cute little moment out there, but Vic, if you don't want it there, you can always just remove it. That's the beauty about these Plum Fix Me Ups. When I'm doing these for other people, they can give me all the instructions in the world, and if they don't like something that I've done in it, just remove it or replace it, and it's totally fine, and I won't be offended because this is for you. This is not for me, even though I had the best time doing this. I didn't want this one to end, but then I also wanted to finish it so I could get it back to Vic very, very quickly. It did take me some time. I'm trying to think of when I started this. I probably started this at the beginning, middle of March, and now we're at the beginning of May. So yeah, that just tells you how slow I am, but I think the wait was worth it, and I tried my best to update Vic as I was going along without giving anything away, even though I really wanted to give him some spoilers, but he was like, I will wait, I will have patience, and he was super duper patient, so I really, really hope that he likes this. So here we are, just recoloring the outside, and I'm using this stone siding, which I don't think I have ever used before. I usually use a plain wall, and then I'll use one of the creative style stones, but I just thought I would try this out, and it really gives that rustic element that Vic wanted for the house, and I think it really works. And with all the windows, I think that's where the modernness, that's not a word, but the modern element comes into it, is with all the windows, the windows without panes in them. So I just think it looks brilliant, if I do say so myself. Like, look at it. I was just so happy when I got to this point because it just looks so good. So here I'm going to attempt to put in a curved pool, and I do get there eventually. This just took me quite some time because, again, I don't know if any of you recall, but there used to be this simmer called Sim Eve, and she was like the queen of fog emitters, but also she had tutorials like how to make curved pools on her website, and I do miss her dearly because she was just such a fantastic part of the community back in the forum days. And so I was following one of her tutorials in order to make a curved pool. So you've got kind of a lima bean, kidney bean shaped pool there, which is kind of bringing back the curved pool that Vic originally had there, just in a different form. And so I'm using terrain paints at the moment around the pool, but then I go back and I wisen up a little bit and I end up using an actual flooring because, I don't know, I just thought it was better than using terrain paint, especially that particular terrain paint, because I don't think it's good for curves. So I went ahead and used a flooring. So I've done the same thing in the back that I did in the front with the trellises, and I kind of bent the wooden trellis parts down a little bit. And then we're just going to place some pool decorations, and we're going to decorate this deck out here, and you can see the fireplace that is outside. That is the first of, I think there are 8 fireplaces in this house, and so I went a little bit crazy with the fireplaces. I think I did 2 or 3 that I did with fog emitters, and then the rest are actual fireplaces. I love doing fog emitter fireplaces. I just think they're so cool, especially since they roar fire. I don't know how to, they're on all the time with fog emitters. They're just constantly on. So I think it's just a really cool effect to have in houses. So we're just going to continue doing the exterior backyard. I've got the fire pit back, which was originally in Vic's backyard, and then I'm going to go ahead and build a little playground for little Theo. Now, Vic didn't tell me much about what he thought Theo was going to be into once he got older, so I kind of made the decision for him. And so a lot of things that have to do with Theo are going to be space themed. I thought that was a lot of fun. So in his nursery, because Theo is a little lucky boy, he's actually got a nursery, and he also has a room that he can age up into. And so they're both very themed space themed. I'm already messing up my words, but what is new here? So yeah, that was just a lot of fun to do because I don't normally do space themed rooms for anybody. So that's what I did. But this is the playground. So you've got a swing set, you've got a sandbox, and then I'm gonna bring back the tree house, which is space themed, and that is it. So we are almost done with the outside, and then the next sort of screenshotty bits that you're going to see is the lower level and the upper level and how I pictured them in my mind being laid out. So that is going to come up very shortly, and I think it looks really good. Now you may think when you look at those that some things are missing, but that is part of the surprise, and we will get to it when we get to it. So we're almost to those screenshots. Everything is pretty much laid out in the backyard, and we are just going to pop inside momentarily. So here we go. All right, so you've seen how my mind was working and how I wanted everything to be laid out. And here we go about laying it all out. So we are in the kitchen area. The kitchen is pretty much in the same space as it was in Vic's original. And I tried to use that stone thing, and I don't know where, I think it came from World Adventures. I tried to use it, but I don't know how to use it. So if anybody knows how to use that stove alcove, please let me know, because it would have been really cool in a modern rustic kitchen, but I couldn't figure it out. So I'm just messing with the layout. I couldn't figure out how I wanted to go. And of course, it's going to change when we get to the recoloring phase, which is going to be part 2 of this video. So the kitchen layout does change slightly, not drastically, just slightly. So I'm pulling out some details. I don't pull out a lot of them. The kitchen does become a little bit more cluttered, but like I've said in previous videos, my aim is just to try to pull out the main things, so you're not looking at me searching through the catalog, because that could take yonks, and I am super duper indecisive, as we all know, which is just nuts to me. Like, you would think after all the years that I've been building, I would have gotten faster, but I definitely haven't. And I sometimes watch other Sims 3 builds, so they've got the color wheel, all the same tools that I've got, and they are so speedy. It's like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I so indecisive? Why is this taking me years to figure out? But I guess that's just part of the fun. I always have a little mini rant about how slow I am, and a lot of you say, we don't mind longer videos. So this one in total is about 44 minutes, and I think the recoloring one before screenshots, so there will be a boatload of screenshots in that one, I think that one is about 25 minutes, which is nuts. Like, just recoloring this house took me 25 minutes sped up. I think not sped up, that video, I think I had about 3 or 4 hours of footage. Like, what is wrong with me? Why am I like this? And I can't tell you how many times I revisited the kitchen because I wasn't really sure about the colors that I end up going with, but I didn't change them. I looked at them 3 or 4 times and I was like, should I change this? Should I not change this? And I went with my initial gut feeling and I didn't change it. So I just did the breakfast nook. I've laid all that out, and we are now into the dining room. I really like how all of these are really open spaces, so nothing is closed off by doorways except for the music room. I really like that. So now we've moved on to the living room, and just behind the living room there is a half bathroom. I think that is the only bathroom that I've not laid out on camera. I think, surprise, surprise, that I laid out all the other bathrooms on camera, which I hardly ever do, because what do I always say about bathrooms? You shit, shower, and shave, and that is just it. They're just not that great to look at. But I did some fun things in the bathrooms, so I thought I would show you guys on camera. So this is the music room, and you guys are probably wondering, there's just a piano in there, and you said that Tommy plays the guitar and he's in a band. So where's Tommy's space? Well, we will get to that. Don't you guys worry. I didn't forget about Tommy. He does have his space, and so does Julian. Julian actually has an extra space. So while Theo is upstairs and he's got 2 bedrooms, the boys, Tommy and Julian, they have got their own separate spaces. And I'm like, I cannot wait I'm so excited to show that on camera. But that was the music room, and now we are in the guest suite. Now this room was a very awkward shape, and so I had to sort of zone it out because I didn't know what to do with the space that we're looking at that's to the left until I decided to put something in, and I'll talk about it when we get there. So I'm using this bed from Pets. Don't think I've ever used that bed from Pets. And what have I just done? I am creating a fog emitter fireplace. I just love to do these. So that is a 2-sided fireplace in the guest suite, and it's a cozy little area on the other side of it. I put in some chairs from Aurora Skies, I think it is. I put in the chairs from Aurora Skies, and it's just a little cozy like reading nook, and I thought it was quite fun to have that in this guest suite. So the guest suite also has its own bathroom, and this was the previous site of Tommy and Julian's music room. So I used this entire side of the house for the guest bedroom, and I don't know, I just really love it. I really, really dig it. And so I've got 2 bookshelves here and then a radio, and that's kind of almost it for this main level, I believe, and then we're gonna head on upstairs. And so I've talked about this before, but anytime you sort of see me shoving things into other objects, it's because I'm going to lift and shift them with the Naraz Suite debug enabler, and I do that off camera because it just takes me ages to kind of figure out how much I need to lift it or how much I need to pull it down. So I'd like to spare you guys from all that faffing about because you don't need to see that. But yes, this is the guest suite, and then we're going to shortly move over to the bathroom of the guest suite, and then we're going to pop upstairs. So there is still a ways to go, and I believe I put this on a platform. I could be wrong, call me crazy, I'm not sure. If I put it on a platform, it was a last minute decision, so I'm going to have to move everything out of the bathroom, not start over, but make sure there's enough room for the platform. And I really like putting platforms in bathrooms. I think it just really makes a statement, make things a little bit different, a little bit more fun, because again, how much fun can you have in the bathroom? I guess the only fun that you can have in the bathroom is your Sims can woohoo, but other than that, it's not that, bathrooms aren't that great. So here's the platform, and that is the layout of this particular bathroom. So up we pop almost to the upper level. Come on, here we go. Yes, so this is Theo's nursery. So this is where he will start out because he is a toddler. And I initially, when I went to recolor this, I had one wall that was red. Now red is a very garish color, I think, in my opinion. So I had to tone it down. So when we get to the recoloring phase, which will be again in the next video, the color theme for his room, or color scheme for his room, is going to be red and gray, but there are no red walls. I just thought it was a bit much to have a red wall in a toddler's room, and it was just a bit in your face. So you can see Jeffrey the giraffe and the little duck that are going to be lifted up onto that shelf, and again I will be doing that off camera, but this is Theo's little area and I like it. It's perfect for him as a toddler. And then we are shortly going to move over to his big boy room. So when he becomes a toddler and a teenager, he has got all of this space. So this was originally where the gym was, and I think a little bit of it was where Theo's bedroom was. So there's a lot of places to sleep in this particular bedroom. So you've got bunk beds, and then I also do put a sleeping bag down, so potentially he could have 2 friends over. But in my mind, I just thought once Theo becomes a child, he's going to be super duper popular, he's going to have all the friends over, and if you had a bedroom like this, why wouldn't you have your friends over constantly? So here I am just placing down the details, and you can see that I've got sort of sciencey themed details that are in this room, a lot of space themed items, and it just sort of works. So I thought he'd be into space, aliens, rockets, science. Again, Vic, if you don't want Theo to be into that sort of activity, feel free to change it. I won't be offended. This is your house. You're able to do with it what you wish. But I mean, you've got the bean bags, you've got television, you've got some sort of game console, which I will lift up there at some point. And you'll see that when we get to the recoloring phase. So another thing that I do, I think I did this off camera, is that I do end up creating a little window seat for Theo. So he's got plenty of spaces to sit, plenty of spaces to lay down, lots of bookshelves. I mean, this is a kid's dream. Who wouldn't love to have this as their bedroom? I would never leave if this was my bedroom. I mean, I'm not into space or aliens or anything like that, but I would never leave if I had this much space, and especially if I had a gaming console in my room. My parents would have never seen me. So this is the Jack and Jill bathroom, and it connects the nursery to Theo's child bedroom. Oh, that's a mouthful. I only ended up putting in 1 sink. I wish I could have put in 2, but I think just the way that the room was laid out, it wasn't possible for me to get 2 sinks in there, because I had, as you saw, I just shifted the window over so I could have the mirror over the sink. And this is the bathroom. I made sure to put in a rubber ducky and also bubble baths, because I think kids can have fun in the bathtub, and they can, I don't know, I've never really played with children, so I don't know what kids can do in The Sims when it comes to bathtubs, but you'll have to find out with the rubber ducky and everything else. So here we are in Julian and Tommy's suite, and as you can see, it is massive. Peep the fireplace in the back at the top right. I don't know how many fireplaces that is now, but yeah, it's one of the real ones, not one that I made. And I'm using my favorite bed from the Diesel stuff pack, and I'm going to use the stencil mod remover in order to get rid of that hideous pattern. Like, I don't know what EA were thinking with that pattern, because it is awful. Like, in its original form, you can't do much with that pattern. So that stencil mod remover is a lifesaver, and I love it. So this is their little seating area. They've got themselves a nice little flat screen TV, a fireplace. There is going to be a, I was going to say a music thing, but a record player. And it makes sense. There's lots of things that pay homage to music, and just loads of musically inclined things for the boys to do. And I cannot tell you how many guitars are on this lot, but it is a whole heck of a lot. So Tommy's going to be super happy. He can practice his guitar in almost any room in the house, because there's going to be a guitar there for him. So I decided in that little area that I was going to put a little desk. I didn't know what else to put there. So I put a desk, and maybe they are mixing music on the computer. Who knows? They can kind of do what they want. So I'm just going to finish off this area, and then we're going to move over to the dressing area. And I do end up putting a big sofa under the windows. So this is a pretty sweet master suite. And again, someplace that I would love to have. And if I had this, I would never leave my room. Like, if I had my computer in my bedroom, I'd never leave it. I'd just constantly be in there, and a massive TV. No one would ever see me. I'd be like a little hermit, and I'd never come out and play. So, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what details to put in here. And at first I was going to put a bed for Kenji, but I just thought because Kenji is such a big dog, it may be hard with two grown Sims and a big, massive husky dog to maneuver around the space. So I ended up putting his dog bed out on the landing. If you guys can recall from the screenshots that I shared earlier, the landing is huge. So there is plenty of space for Kenji to sort of move around and have a good time in his own little space. You can kind of see his dog toys that are out there already. And yeah, so we're just gonna put a few more details in this little dressing corner. And I thought that statue from University Life was a little bit of fun because it's got a hat and a tie. So I figured that's kind of where Tommy and Julian store their hats and ties if ever they need to wear a hat or a tie. And so here is their main bedroom, or sorry, their main bathroom. And again, I'm using a platform because they're just fun. And I like to hide showers in little crevices. I guess it's not a crevice, but in a little corner. So you can't really see that. Now, because the bathroom is so big, like massive, who needs a bathroom this big? I actually end up putting the toilet in its own little separate room right here because I didn't want all of that open space, and I thought having an extra room for the toilet would make the space a little bit flow, it would make it flow better. Blah, blah, blah. I can't get my words out. Only 9 more minutes to go. I always have trouble when I do these really, really long voiceovers, especially since I've been talking for hours and hours and hours, because I can't tell you how many times that I recorded that intro. It took ages for me to do that. So I've been talking all morning, all afternoon, and I am starting to lose my voice a little bit, but we are going to make it. We're going to get there all the way to the end, and I hope you guys will stick with me. If you guys are still here, what do I want you to say if you're still here at this point? How about Lego My Eggo? Ooh, does anybody remember Eggos? Are they Eggos? Eggo waffles? Oh, those were my favorite as a kid. I absolutely love those frozen waffles. And I would say that if you're going to make it from scratch, I'm more of a pancake person, but Eggo waffles, those were the best. Oh, I had such a good childhood with all the good food and all the greatness that I grew up with. Kids these days, they may have their Xboxes and their PS5s and their mobile phones, but me growing up, I had some really, really cool stuff. I'll talk about this in a minute because we are coming up to that surprise that I was talking about, and I want to experience it with you, so I don't want to be on a tangent about Eggo waffles. And here we go. We are underground. I built a basement. So there is so much more space downstairs. Because the house was so huge, I thought, why not put a basement in? And it was perfect. So I've created this sort of, I'd say, movie area. It's in an open space and it's in a public pass-through, but you've got this large, massive TV. You also got a fog emitter fireplace that I just built, and then on one side you have Tommy's studio, and on the other side you have Julian's studio. So they have their own separate music studios. And when I say that I was searching for I was looking at CC recording studio things because there's not a lot to create recording studios that are in the game, but I refrained because one of the things that Vic didn't want CC in this. So this is completely CC free. And so I had to kind of create my own music studio, and I had to get creative as possible, and I did it. And I really love how both of their spaces turn out, and I really think that they reflect each of the boys. So do you remember that gym area that was originally upstairs? I have now moved it downstairs, and then there is also a massive bathroom, which, here we go. At first I was going to put that sauna in and just kind of call it a sauna room, but then I used this bathtub. I was gonna say bathroom, but I used that bathtub. I don't think I've ever used that, or I've not used it recently because it's obnoxiously large. But I ended up using it, and I do take away these double sinks. I don't think any of the bathrooms have double sinks, to be fair, but I take away the double sinks and I end up going with a single sink because I decided that I wanted to have a shower in here. And it does kind of change in the screenshots, which will be coming in the next video, because when I play tested the house, my Sims were having issues getting to the shower, so I had to kind of rearrange the bathroom. But most everything that you see here is in that new version of the bathroom. So let's get back to talking about when I was a kid and all the greatness that I had. AOL. I was on AOL constantly in the chat rooms talking to God knows who. Like, they're probably not the safest thing in the world, but I had a whale of a time. I loved AOL so much. Another thing that I loved from my childhood, Oregon Trails. Did anybody play Oregon Trails? Because that was such a fun game. Like, forget Fortnite. Oregon Trails was amazing. I just loved it. Oh, I'm showing my age here. What do you guys remember from your childhood that you kind of wish was still around? How about all of those like teeny magazines like Tiger Beat with Jonathan Taylor Thomas on the front cover? He was my crush when I was a child. Again, I'm showing my age. Anyway, let's get back into the build. I think we're going to pop over to, we are in, who is the singer? It is Jay. So we are in Jay's little studio right here. And he also plays the piano. So I used the karaoke machine that was originally upstairs. And then I'm going to create a little piano right now by mooing it together. And yeah, I've created this little studio. I've used this store content microphone. It's not the coolest, but you know, it does the trick. And now I'm going to create a table that is kind of like a recording mixing area with loads of computers. One of the things that Sims 4 does really well is that they've got objects where it looks like you can create a recording studio, and then they've also recently come out with a stand-up piano, and I really wish that we had an upright piano in The Sims 3, but this mood version is going to have to do. Now, there are so many computers in this house that if a burglar came in, there are burglar alarms everywhere in this house, but if a burglar came in, they would be super happy. Like, they would have a payday and it would be like, cha-ching, I've hit the jackpot. But hopefully they won't be burgled. And if somebody attempts it, like I said, burglar alarms on almost every single level that's a Sim burglar could get to. So another one of the tricks that I did that you won't see in this version, but you will see in the screenshots of video 2, is that I did the thing where I took my tester Sim, Eric Miller, and I had him take pictures of CC pictures using the World Adventures photography skills. So that makes it so it's not CC. And these pictures are those that pay homage to the heritages of Tommy and Julie. And I thought they were really, really cool, and I love them so much. So I can't wait for you guys to check that out in the next video when it comes out. But we are nearing the end of the video. There aren't that many screenshots in this one, and so I'm probably just going to love you and leave you guys with some music. But before we go, we are in Tommy's side in his studio, and just look at all of these guitars that he's got. I'm pretty sure one of these cost 12,000 simoleons, and this is the reason why this home is so expensive, because I figure that because they can afford it, Tommy and Julian have very, very expensive tastes. But I also think that they're really good Sims. Like, since they've got famous, they've not become up themselves. They just seem like very lovely, family orientated Sims, and I love that for them. So Vic, I hope you've enjoyed this first part of your home, the new ranch. Everyone else, I hope you have enjoyed this as well. And if any of you have a home that you guys would like me to plum fix up, send me a message on Tumblr or Twitter. I will take a look and we can see what we can do. But I'm going to go ahead and love you and leave you guys with some music. So if you enjoyed this, make sure to do all those cool interweb things, like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you've got that bell ding dong to be notified whenever I do upload. But for now, I'm gonna skedaddle. Don't be a plum stranger now, guys. Bye!